Hey guys! Okay, so this is so not professional, or I feel like it's not, because I'm in my closet because I have kids and they are loud. So this is the only place I can possibly film this video. So I wanted to come in today and talk to you guys a little bit about depression and anxiety and all of the things, and like how I have learned how to cope with it in the past and currently. I think it's no secret on this channel that I have dealt with postpartum depression, I have dealt with anxiety, I have dealt with generalized depression, and it is always varied. Some days it's really bad, some days it's not so bad, other days it's pretty much non-existent. So October is Mental Health Awareness Month. So when BetterHelp reached out to me to do this collaboration, I was actually super excited because I always love opportunities to talk with you guys a little bit about taking care of yourself and focusing on your mental health. So a little bit of my story. So I started dealing with anxiety pretty severely at the age of 14. And at the age of 14 is actually when I started to develop an eating disorder. And from the age of 14 through 24, I had terrible anxiety, full-blown bulimia, all of the things. And there's such a common misconception with people who suffer with bulimia that, oh my goodness, they have to be stick thin, and that's not true. People who have bulimia can actually hide it really well, and that's what I did. Nobody knew. My mom didn't know until I was about 17, and that's when she found out that I had it. I kept it from my husband for like a year, and then he quickly found out. You can't really live with someone, I don't want to say that's true. You can live with someone that has this eating disorder and never know it, but over time it becomes more and more difficult to actually hide. So the bulimia was a part of the anxiety, which was a part of the mental illness and all of the things, you guys. I think I made a really bad decision to sit on the floor because I'm 26 weeks pregnant, and sitting on the floor is not working out for me, but we're gonna push through. We're gonna work it out. It's gonna be fine, guys. It's gonna be fine. So anyway, I'm dealing with all of these things. I'm not even realizing that I have a problem. From the age of 14 to 24, I had no idea. Thought I was fine, had a handle on it, I could control it, no big deal. I was in complete and total denial. I didn't tell my friends, I didn't tell my family, unless they like inadvertently, accidentally like found out or like caught me, I guess. I would never would have admitted it to anybody. So I was dealing with that around the age of 24. I'd been married for, oh my gosh, I got married so young, you guys. 20, 21. I'd been married about 5 years at the age of 24. So So when I was 24, my husband sat me down and he actually had a conversation with me. He's like, look, I know what you've been doing. He's like, I know it's a problem. And he would see the vast like overeating, and then I'd run to the bathroom. Or he would see the, like if we were out at a restaurant, for instance, I wouldn't eat anything. Would eat nothing at all. Because I knew if I was out at a restaurant with family, I wasn't going to have instant access to the bathroom in order to purge. So I was going through that. And honestly, I don't know, it's so convoluted now to like look back on it, and I'm struggling to like talk about it because I'm trying to figure out what my mental thought process was back then. And I'm kind of like, did I want to be super skinny? Was I trying to just maintain my weight? Like, what was it? And after many years of counseling and still kind of soul searching and figuring it out, I realized it was literally just about control. That's all it was about. It wasn't about, oh, I need to be super skinny, or oh, I need to maintain my weight, or oh my goodness, I have to count all of these calories. It was just about that aspect of control because I felt so out of control in other aspects of my life due to anxiety and depression. Does that make sense? It does to me now. It didn't to me then. If you had explained it to me then, I would have been like, oh, I'm fine. I don't have a problem. I'm okay. I don't have a problem. That's what I would have said. I probably would have, honestly, I wouldn't have even said I don't have a problem. I just flat out would have denied that there was anything even going on. Wouldn't have admitted it. If you gave me $1 million, I would not have admitted it, because there's a lot of shame surrounding that type of mental illness. And I do believe eating disorders are a type of mental illness. I know other people see it differently. Even some doctors and physicians will see that differently. But for me personally, having gone through it, I know for a fact that it was a mental illness. So after the age of 24, I had just had my daughter. So I got better when I was pregnant, because that spurred me to like, stop doing this. I can't do this. I have to be healthy. I had Zoe, which is my oldest daughter. She's 11 now. And it instantly started back up again, you guys. Like, as soon as I was better from having the baby, boom, I'm doing the same exact habits. I lost a ton of weight after Zoe. And I felt really good about myself, like physically. Like, I felt like, oh yeah, I look good. I'm skinny. I'm at the weight that I want to be. But internally, I was still not okay. I was suffering from severe postpartum depression on top of the depression that I already had. I didn't know at the time after my first baby what the heck postpartum depression was. Obviously, I'd heard about it, but I always thought postpartum depression meant you wanted to harm yourself or harm your baby. And I thought, because I'm not having those thoughts, I never wanted to hurt my baby. I never wanted to hurt myself. I thought because those thoughts weren't going through my head that I was fine, that I didn't have it. So I never sought medical help. I never sought counseling. I never told anybody what was going on. I just acted like everything was perfectly fine, like I always had, because that was my coping mechanism. Keep going on a few more years. And I'm 24. I was 22 when I had Zoe. So no, it was 23. I'm getting my years mixed up, you guys. It's been a minute. Hold on. How old am I now? I was 22 when I had her, because I'm 33 now. She's 11, so I was 22 when I had her. So it was about a year after that this is still going on. And a little bit after that, I started to realize that I needed to get a handle on things, and I needed to figure out my life, and I needed to get with it because I was starting to have heart palpitations, because when you have bulimia and you're literally throwing up every single meal, it puts a lot of strain and stress on your esophagus. It puts a lot of strain and stress on your heart, and my heart would like just all day long. I mean, it would skip a beat. I would be out of breath. I had no energy. I felt weak. And I ended up in the emergency room with heart palpitations, and they did the endoscope and all of the things. I think, is that what it's called, an endoscope? I think that's what it's called. They did that, and they told me that my esophagus was corroded from stomach acid. So at that point, I knew that I had to change, that something had to give. So traded that sickness or mental illness, still at this point did not seek any type of counseling, didn't think I had a problem, just thought, oh, it's fine, I'll go home and I'll deal with it, it's okay. And that didn't work out either, because I would get home and I would think I was fine, and then I would eat a big meal or something, and I would have those same type of feelings, those control type of feelings, or rather the I'm out of control type of feeling. So at that point, I did seek counseling. It was probably about 6 months after the hospital visit that I decided to seek counseling, but I did decide to seek counseling, and that helped a lot. It was just a counselor at my local church. She was very nice. She was super understanding, but I felt very awkward. I'm a big, huge introvert, which is strange because I haven't always been an introvert. I don't know what it is. I think maybe with having kids and kind of closing into myself and having all of these issues, I don't know, I just blocked off the world. So I'm currently, I'm a very big introvert, and it's just the way I am now. It's just the way I am, and I've accepted it, and it's fine. But because of that, my anxiety lies a lot with going out in public places or being in big huge crowds or going and talking to somebody about all of my personal business that I really don't want to share with anybody, not even my spouse. So that was very difficult for me, and I think I only lasted about a month in these counseling sessions at my church, and then I just stopped going. I didn't go at all. So a couple years go by, I'm getting better with the bulimia. At that point I get pregnant with Piper. I do well during her pregnancy. I don't have any episodes during or after she's born, but I still have that like mentality, you know, like that mentality never goes away. But because the bulimia aspect, like the actions of the bulimia were better, the depression and anxiety got worse. Is this making any sense to you guys? Some of you guys are gonna get me. Some of you guys are gonna be like, Catherine, I understand you. I know exactly where you're coming from, and I get you, girl. And then some of you guys are gonna be like, I don't know what she's talking about. This girl doesn't make any sense at all. It's okay. It's okay. I honestly feel like those who need to hear what I'm saying are going to hear it. You know, eat the fish and leave the bones, if you will. So take what you need and leave what you don't, in information wise or help wise or whatever, because I think some of the stuff will apply to some of you, and then some of you guys will, luckily, and I hope, I mean, goodness, if none of this applies to you, that's amazing, and I'm so excited for you, and I'm so glad you have never had to deal with this type of mental illness or this type of anxiety or depression. So, and not everyone does, you guys. I didn't know this either. I thought everyone dealt with like depression and anxiety. No, there are actually some people who don't have it. And that was shocking to me. Anyway, moving on. So I'm doing better. Fast forward, we adopted the boys in December of 2013. You guys know, if you guys don't know or you're new to my channel, I have 5 children. I have 2 amazing little girls, currently 11 and 8 years old. I have 2 little boys that we adopted from Ukraine in 2013 at the age of 6 and 10. My 6-year-old is completely blind, nonverbal, and severely autistic, and my 10-year-old, what age am I saying? Am I saying they're old at the age they were when we adopted them, or their current? Oh my gosh, you guys. I have pregnancy brain. I'm sorry. Anyway, my oldest boy has cerebral palsy and fetal alcohol syndrome. So they were adopted in December of 2013 at the age of 10 and 6. They are currently 15 and 12. So, and then we had a surprise baby Jack. So he came to join our family a couple of years ago. And now we have another awesome little girl who is also coming to join our family at the beginning of January, which was another huge shock. I don't know if you guys have seen the pregnancy video, but I was pretty well shocked. I think I still am in some context. I'm still kind of like, we're having another one. Anyway, we're gonna have 6 children, which is amazing. But after we adopted Narquise and Aiden, my oldest boys, I started to notice that I had something called post-adoption depression. And who knew something like that existed? I didn't. I had no idea. But here we were a young family. We were in our mid-20s, and we had suddenly had these 2 significantly special needs children, plus our other 2 very young girls, and it just was overwhelming. And as much as you can mentally prepare for how things are likely going to be, it's different when you're in the thick of it. And I quickly found that out, because you guys, before we adopted, I had read books, I had been to counseling sessions, I had been to church meetings, I had talked to people who had adopted, I had done all of the things that is recommended for you to do so that you are adequately prepared. I was not prepared. I thought I was mentally, like I thought I had it down. We thought we knew, we thought we had it down, and we came home and we're like, it's gonna be awesome, it's gonna be amazing, this amazing happy family. And things were good and things were awesome, and there were way more amazing moments than there were hard moments. But there was also a lot of tears, and when I was vlogging at the time, I didn't show a lot of those tears and I didn't show a lot of those hardships because I thought I wasn't supposed to be having them. So this kind of spiraled into the depression getting a little bit worse. So let me explain to you, there are so many different levels of depression, different levels of anxiety. There is functional depression, there's functional anxiety, there's depression where you gotta lay in the bed for days on end with the lights out and the curtains drawn and you don't want to do anything. There's depression where you feel super unmotivated and any little tiny task seems overwhelming and impossible and you can't handle it. There's anxiety, like you can't leave the house or you can't drive a car. There's so many different like levels, and so many people have different things going on. So I'm only speaking for what went on for me during these times. So for me, I had the type of depression where any tiny little task seemed overwhelming and impossible. I was able to take care of my kids. I was able to get them to doctor's appointments, and I put all my energy into my kids, you guys. That's where my energy went. 110% of the energy that I had in reserves for my day went to my kids. Doctor's appointments, therapies, getting them enrolled in school, figuring out how to deal with having 4 kids all of a sudden, and making sure that I was being the best for them and still being there for my girls. And that was where my energy went to. My energy for other things plummeted, and I had a hard time cleaning my house. I had a hard time brushing my hair or like trying to look decent or really caring about myself or making time for myself. I had a hard time prioritizing my relationship with my husband. I had a hard time prioritizing relationships with my friends. Do you guys know how many friends I lost after we adopted the boys? I lost so many friends, and I used to blame them. I used to look back on this and I used to blame them, like, well, we adopted these special needs kids and then all of our friends left. And it's not that, it was me. I stopped reaching out, I stopped connecting, I stopped caring, I stopped talking. I closed into myself even more. And I know that now, and I can recognize that. But that was another aspect that made it very, very difficult. So during this time, this is where I'm getting to the point. So during this time, I reached out to a website called BetterHelp, and they were kind of new at the time. I don't remember the exact year where I started this, but I did reach out and I did BetterHelp, and helped me significantly. First of all, for me, the best thing about BetterHelp is that I had somebody on my phone that I could text when I needed to and ask them questions, and they would respond pretty much right away. That was so valuable to me. I didn't have to leave my house. I didn't have to get in my car. I didn't have to find a babysitter for my kids. I didn't have to go face to face and talk with somebody that was really literally going to bring my anxiety up even higher, because when I was in those types of situations, I would freeze up and I wouldn't be able to think about anything. Like, I was just like, they'd be like, well, what's bothering you today? I don't know. That's what I'd say. I don't know. Because at the time I didn't, because my anxiety went so high because I had to leave the house and do all of the things that I literally couldn't communicate what was actually bothering me. So BetterHelp was amazing. So BetterHelp has licensed therapists that are qualified by their state board to provide therapy and counseling and all of the things that you need. And for me, that was very, very important. I know I had come across some other websites who had counseling options, but they weren't actual counselors. They were just kind people who were trying to help and do the best that they could. And sometimes that can be very, very helpful. But for me, that was not the road I wanted to go down. I wanted to make sure that the person I was talking to knew what they were doing and was going to give me some genuine, helpful advice. So again, you can receive licensed counseling through Skype, your phone, email, text, any type of venue that you are comfortable speaking with your counselor is completely available to you through BetterHelp. And again, that was absolutely invaluable for me. I mostly did text messages. I did maybe 2 or 3 Skype calls. or video calls. I don't know if it was Skype at the time, but I did a few video calls and those were okay. Those were fine because I had time to prepare for them. I didn't have to like leave my house. But a vast majority of our communication was via text message because that's what I needed. I needed like that immediate like feedback and instant response to an issue I was going through in that moment. So once you sign up with BetterHelp, you will be matched with a licensed counselor within 24 hours. So they don't like leave you waiting for weeks on end. It's not like, oh, you sign up and they've got to take time and you've got to go through all these procedures. No, right away, pretty much within 24 hours, you will have a counselor that can be there and help you. So this isn't something that I ever did. I don't think they offered this when I was with BetterHelp, but they have something now called a groupineer session, and it's where a counselor, like you have, I don't know, what I'm assuming it is that you're in this group and you get to talk about ways to cope with anxiety and depression, and you just learn a lot of really good coping skills. And y'all, I need coping skills. Like even now, I feel like now I'm doing a lot better, but coping skills are still so important. And until you learn those coping skills and what your specific coping skills are, it's going to be very, very difficult to completely overcome your depression and anxiety and get to where you want to be. Also, BetterHelp is worldwide. It's $65 per month. They do offer financial aid, so if that's really expensive for you and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't handle this, there are options for financial aid, so also bear that in mind. I do also want to say that BetterHelp is also not a crisis line. If you are having suicidal thoughts or you're having thoughts of harming yourself or others, BetterHelp is not the place for you to go right now. I will have in the description below a few numbers to crisis hotlines that you can call in your specific area. So please do that. It is so important to reach out to others. And I will say, until I started to talk with somebody, I had a really hard time. None of my issues seemed real to me. None of them seemed validated. It all seemed like it was in my head, that it's just the way things were for me. I remember petting my kids, and this is just so significant to me because looking back on it, I see how huge of a problem this was, but at the time it did not compute at all. And it wasn't until I started speaking with my BetterHelp counselor that I realized that this was an actual problem and this was not normal for me to be doing. So I would get my kids up in the morning, I would get them ready, I would put them on the school bus, and I would go back inside and I would go to sleep. And I would sleep from 8 a.m. when they go to school until 2:30 when I knew they were about to get off the bus. I would sleep from 8 to 2:30. My entire day, my whole day, I would be asleep. And that's after sleeping all night as well. So then they'd get off the bus. I would be grumpy, I'd be crabby, I'd be overwhelmed, I would feel out of control because I hadn't done anything all day. The house was still a mess, I didn't have snack on the table, like nothing was prepared. So that would just pile on top of my anxiety. And so the kids would come home, I'd get them ready, I'd get them fed, we'd do our evening routine. This whole time I'm stressed, I'm anxious, I'm rushing my kids, I'm rushing them because I'm just thinking, I've got to get them in bed, I've got to get them in bed. And that was my thought process. And as soon as they were in bed, I would eat dinner and I'd go to bed. And then the next day it would repeat. And I was on repeat for so long that I eventually didn't know anything better. I didn't realize that this wasn't normal behavior, that most people don't do this, that if I am doing this, I have an issue. So when I was telling my counselor that, because she was asking me, how is your day? Lay out your days for me. And I would tell her, I sleep. I get the kids on the school bus and I sleep. That's what I do. And she said, oh, she's like, that's not okay. She's like, you know that's not normal, right? And I didn't I didn't know that wasn't normal. I didn't know that wasn't okay. My only thought process was, oh, my kids are at school, I'm free, I can take a nap, I can sleep all day long. But the thing of it is even after sleeping so long, I still had the exhaustion, still had the overwhelmed feeling, I still had the I can't feeling, I still had the mentality of everything is overwhelming. And it's like, it like hurts my heart even to like think back to this, because I know there are so many moms who are struggling right now with the same exact record player that is stuck on repeat, and it doesn't have to be. And I'm just here to tell you, you're not alone. Sometimes that's all you need to hear, is that you're not alone. You know, if it doesn't challenge you, it's not going to change you. And you have to change. You have to challenge yourself in order to change, is what I'm saying. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And I remember I would hear that quote all the time. I would always hear that quote. It would always come up, or I'd see it on a post or somebody's Facebook. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And I think, well, yeah, duh, nothing changes if nothing changes. But truly, if you take that and you really delve into the meaning of it and you think about it, how true is it? It's mind-blowing. It is so true. You can't possibly expect a beautiful life, a better life, if you aren't willing to make the little small changes in your day-to-day life to get you there. So one of the first things that I started doing is I started waking up at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. That's what time I wake up, and I just wake up at 5 a.m. today. Sometimes it's 6, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pregnant right now, so sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's a little later, that's okay. But I wake up, and I wake up for the day. I don't wake up with intentions of ever going back to bed. I wake up for the day. It doesn't matter if I slept 2 hours, if I slept 4 hours, if I slept 5 hours, if I was up all night with a screaming baby, if if the dog was barking outside, or it was too hot or cold, if I didn't sleep, whatever, it doesn't matter. I have to get up for the day. And that has been a significant change. That was one of the first changes that I made, was getting up for the day. Just get up. That's not hard. So we homeschool now, which I never thought I would do. I homeschool my 2 girls. But prior to that, my other step was getting the kids on the bus, obviously. And then I had a list. I had a nice little list of things I needed to do. I've got to do the dishes. I've got to clean out the fridge. I've got to mop the floors. I've got to vacuum the floors. I've got to dust the ceiling fans. I need to clean the bathrooms. I need to go make the beds. I need to make sure that the kids have things ready for them after school. I need to make sure the doctor's appointments and therapies and everything is in order. I had my list. I had my to-do list. And my rule was that I'm not allowed to sit down until every little thing on that list was checked off. And that may sound extreme, but at the time that's what I needed. I needed to not be allowed to sit down, because if I sat down, the laziness kicked in. If I sat down, the depression kicked in. If I sat down, the anxiety kicked in. It takes 28 days to make a habit, you guys. For me, it took about a year. I'm just being honest. For me, it took about a year. So, it just... the life that I have now versus the life that I had even a couple of years ago is unrecognizable. And I have figured out what my coping skills are. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of self-help books. I listen to a lot of sermons. I feed myself mentally. I feed my mental health first. And I do that because I've realized that my mental health is the most important thing. It's the most important thing. If I'm not mentally there, if I'm not mentally okay, then all the other areas of my life are going to fall away. They're all going to fall to the wayside. So my foot is completely numb. I can't feel it. Anyway, you guys, I am going to have a link right here for you guys. Let me scoot over so I have room to post it. I'm going to have a link right here for you guys that you guys can go and check out, betterhelp.com. You have to talk to somebody. If you can't talk to your parents or your friends or your teachers or coworkers or whatever it may be, if you're not comfortable talking to anybody about it, counseling is an amazing option, and it is so, so helpful. And I would not be where I am today if it were not for BetterHelp. And I truly mean that. That's why I was so excited when they contacted me, because even being pregnant right now, I already have a lot of anxiety and stress about impending postpartum depression, because I know I'm prone to it. I know I get it. I know it's coming. So knowing that and understanding how my body is, I can now be prepared and have this set up ahead of time before the baby comes. And don't be ashamed. If you have postpartum depression, if you have anxiety, if you have depression, know that your feelings are valid. Your feelings are real. It's not in your head. You're not crazy. You just need to seek help, and you need to get the right kind of help. And I know you might be sitting there thinking, I don't need a counselor. That was me too. I thought that too. I wasn't gonna do it. And you know what? I spent many years being miserable because I wouldn't swallow my pride and just go see a counselor. So I really hope that you guys will check it out and go look at this and see if they can help you. Again, BetterHelp is not a crisis hotline. If you are, and I pray that you aren't, but if you are in a bad place and you are having suicidal thoughts or thoughts of harming anyone or yourself, I will have links below that will be a lot more beneficial to you and your personal situation. But anyway, I hope you guys are all doing awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. Thank you guys so much for sitting through this. I hope it made sense. I hope that I formed my thoughts well, because it's hard. It's hard to go back and kind of comb through your like issues and your like mental stuff, and it's not really fun either. You know, you get to a certain point where you're better and you feel a lot better, and I'm doing so much better now than I've ever been in my entire adult life. I mean, I'm not 100% there, but I'm like 80% past where I was, and to me that's amazing, and to me that's a huge accomplishment, and I'm super proud of myself. And I'm learning how to be confident and love myself again. And I think I do love myself, and I used to couldn't say that. I never would have said that a couple of years ago. But I hope you guys are doing amazing, and I hope you guys take advantage of this. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later. I hope you guys are all doing awesome, and don't forget, you guys, always live to inspire. Bye guys.